Hey guys, it's Friday evening, October 20th? Yeah, I think the 20th. Hey, so we've had so many discussions about grading shows, what each category means, the NAs, all that stuff. And so I kind of wanted to go over that. I just figured the video's a little bit easier to do it. If you guys could give me some feedback, that would be fantastic. So, what I showed tonight, we actually have severe threat tomorrow, but we average like 20 to 27 severe threats a year. So, a severe threat for tomorrow, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not something I'm going to start the newscast with. I think it's very important that when we grade these shows that, you know, the graphics flow. I don't show an almanac, but I do show an almanac at 10 during first weather. And of course, you're going to have to write that in your comments. But, so, for instance, today, you know, it's a tower cam. I have currents on here. And then temperatures. I think most people should glance over temperatures instead of saying 4 or 5. I have an evening planner. Of course, it's high school football for us tonight. It's been real windy today. We've had winds 10 to 20 sustained and gusts anywhere from 35 miles per hour. Sometimes I'll interact with it, sometimes I won't, just kind of depends. And then I think that section, like I get 3 minutes and 15 seconds, that section shouldn't take over a minute. And then you start tearing into the regular weathercast. I think breaking down satellite picture when you're grading is very key. Can they tell you what happened, what's happening, what's going to happen, and why? So when I look at this, it's pretty simple. The thicker clouds have rolled east, showers have rolled east. We're clearing out a little bit, more clouds back toward the west due to our next storm system. You can see the Gulf moisture, which is going to combine with this storm system. So if they can make it all flow, this is our storm system that's going to change up our weather over the weekend. So I really think candidates, it should all flow pretty well, I guess. Saturday, this is for me tomorrow. We have big storms that are going to roll in. I did this graphic as kind of a glancing blow. I think if people talk about a cold front, they better show a cold front. Even though I do have the wind barbs on here, even if you don't show a front, at least point out where the front is due to the wind barbs. And then I showed this as it rolled through, and then, so I kind of glanced over this, and then I went into more of a hour-by-hour view with our temperatures tonight into tomorrow. I don't show forecast pages, and I've noticed a lot of people don't. They show some kind of planner, so I interact with it, and I show a planner and break it down. And then I think when areas do have storms coming in, what's so key is how did they break the timing down? Are they saying most of the day is going to be fine? And then are they pointing to the clock? You know, storms working into the western viewing area after 8, after 9 p.m., making it down to I-44 by 10:30, 11, 11:30. Some of these could be strong, some of those could be severe. Then heavy rain. After that point, showers left around into Saturday morning or Sunday morning. So how do they break that down? And of course, because I have a severe threat tomorrow, I got to talk about severe risk, an elevated risk, Kansas, Oklahoma side. I think the biggest things you should look for here is timing, when, what's the main threat, and everybody wants to know what's the tornado threat. And then on to 7 days. So that's what I showed tonight. So when I look at grading, the grading sheet, I know we've been talking about the wonderful NAs that we've been having. And I don't think, I mean, applicants, they know, in a sense, what we're looking for. So there really shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 NAs. So if I look at the graphical content of what I just showed, on an average day, current conditions, maps, yes. I had the tower cam with the currents, and then I also had current temps. Climatology information. I do not have an almanac, but I think that applicant needs to write in there, hey, I show an almanac during first weather at the 10 o'clock news, so that you guys know that. Forecast panels and or extended forecast. Most people are going to have that. I think where you grade them on that is how well do they explain the extended forecast? Is it up for 10 seconds? Are they able to explain it in 20 seconds? Are they covering each day? Watch, warning, and advisory maps. I don't have any watches. I don't have any warnings, but I do have an advisory map here because we have the severe threat for tomorrow. So then you have to grade them on, okay, on that advisory map, did it show everything that it needed to show? Here's something real that I've noticed a lot of people seem to be a little bit confused about. Okay, satellite or combination satellite radar maps. You can see I have a sat rad here, goes to a sat rad here, a wider sat rad here, another sat rad here. But I never show a local radar. So I would have to put NA for local radar. Even though it's a local sat rad. Surface maps, fronts, highs, lows, etc. For instance, like I said, if you talk about a front, you better show a front. So that's why I draw in the front here. Special graphics. I think these are, if you're talking about the jet stream, if you're showing a jet stream, if you're showing, high school football forecast or anything like that. Videos, live cameras. I had a live tower camera. Explanation. This is where it gets interesting. Okay. Is radar information explained? So I think this is where it's key. If I'm looking at this, am I explaining we had a few random showers earlier. They pushed east. The thicker clouds are east. We're clearing out now. More clouds are thickening up out to our west, meaning partly to mostly cloudy skies. So even if I don't have a local radar, I still have radar here. So is it explained? Is the hazardous weather or lack thereof clearly explained? Is that applicant on this show, are they explaining the severe threat? When is it going to roll in? Who's going to be affected? And what are those main threats? Are watches, warnings, advisories, or hazardous outlooks given the appropriate emphasis? I think on a show like this, I get 3 minutes and 15 seconds, so the final 2 minutes should at least be on the severe threat for tomorrow and the breakdown. Are there any regional differences adequately explained? I'm in the plains. I don't have really any regional differences, but I think on that part, because so many areas are like that, that aren't mountains or aren't coastal, if you have a front rolling through or something like that, is it explained that one area is having cooler temperatures than another? Winds? Let's see here. Is the content appropriate for the day chosen, including the amount of content? Is there too much or too little? Well, if I'm looking at this weathercast, again, I think 2 minutes should be talking about this next storm system, what's going to happen tomorrow, when are the storms going to roll in, and what are the threats. So if they don't have all that stuff, then obviously they're going to get a low grade. Is the information meteorologically correct? I hope so. Do the graphics and explanation lead to the evolution of the upcoming weather? Well, severe threat, so you should have all these graphics. So if they're missing something, like I didn't have time to put rainfall amounts in. However, I mentioned here, which you can't see is behind the camera, I have main threats, heavy rain, and I have it elevated. So, are you still mentioning all those things? Is the viewer left with a clear understanding of everything in the forecast, including comparisons to climate? Again, if you can't show an almanac, or if you show it during first weather, it's kind of hard to compare it to climate, but that's kind of your job to look up, did they verify that forecast? And then I know some of you guys do that. Does the presentation help teach the atmospheric process without being overly scientific? That's key. You see some people who are saying on a graphic like, okay, we have an upper level disturbance, it's going to roll in, we have pretty good shear winds out of the southeast, the Cape's high. But if you're going to say all that stuff, the normal viewer doesn't have a clue what that means. So I never mention cape. I rarely mention shear unless if I'm in a severe weather mode and actually showing it and explaining it. So obviously not dumbing it down, but talking at the level that the viewer understands. So that's something that we have to grade very clearly. And then, given the accompanying almanac information and pattern, do you find this to be a good forecast? Meaning, that it verify. So, that's the biggest thing there. We have the presentation section. Does the applicant demonstrate confidence in the information conveyed? This is key. So many of our younger kids, I turn 39 here in a couple of weeks, kids. So when I'm talking about severe weather chances for tomorrow, I'm telling the viewer what I think is going to happen. I'm showing the graphics to support what I think is going to happen. So many times now I'm seeing, well, this model is saying this, and this model is saying that, or this model thinks this, or that model thinks this. So all they're really relaying to the viewer is, these are what the models are saying, but they're never saying what they think is going to happen. So if I hear that, that's obviously going to be a very low grade, because I want to know what, we're supposed to be the expert. So I want to know exactly what that meteorologist thinks, not what this model thinks, what that model thinks, what that model thinks. I know some of you guys agree with this, some of you guys don't. But that's how you get the confidence of the viewer. I mean, especially with social media nowadays, we have so many amateur people saying, hey, look, the GFS model's producing 15 inches of snow. And then it gets shared 200 times. Does the applicant appear relaxed and conversational in front of the camera and anchor crosstalk? It's pretty self-explanatory. Do they present the graphics well on and off air? I think this is also key. I don't think, so when you are looking at a graphic and you're explaining things, unless if you're interacting, you should not look sideways more than 3 seconds. You should look at the viewer, look sideways, no more than 3 seconds. And I think that's really key. So that's one way that I always grade it. I would kind of count. Are they just sitting and staring sideways? Do they speak at an understandable pace, use proper grammar, inflection? Grammar, I would always further, farther, distance, towards. And I think we do need to pay attention to that. Portray a professional appearance. Most of us do. If you have a shirt and a tie on and a jacket, as long as the buttons aren't about ready to pop off, you look pretty professional. The other thing I wanted to say, when you guys look at a show, man, I got a spider web up here. When you look at a show, I would always glance through the show, inactive, and the routine. And usually, before I even pulled out the grading sheet, I knew if they were going to pass or fail. So I'm already thinking in my head, because I watched their show, I know they're either going to be right on the line, and the numbers are going to kind of tell the story, if they passed, or if they failed, before I even start on the grading sheet. So I would recommend that everybody kind of watch the routine show and then watch the active show and then go back and tear it down as you start filling out the sheet. And I know that may take a little bit more time, but it seems like once you get in rhythm, you know, a review takes 45 minutes to an hour after all the comments. So we're going to talk about this too next conference call, but I just figured it would be a lot easier to tell you guys what I've been kind of thinking over the past several months. Have a good weekend, or good next week, or good Halloween whenever you guys see this.